Hi everyone, I'm Ricardo Gonçalves. Welcome to episode 10 of Your Health and Your Wealth, live from my living room. It's 15 minutes to make you feel better about your well-being and finances. Now, Your Health and Your Wealth is multi-platform, which means if you are watching on Facebook and or LinkedIn, you can ask a question live. Just do so in the comments section below the video. If you're watching elsewhere across my social media platforms or listening on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, thank you for tuning in. Later, if we're not really flying, is it worth collecting frequent flyer points? We'll find out in about 6 minutes' time. But first, COVID-19 has really slowed down the economy with millions of people placed on JobKeeper and JobSeeker. The reality is that thousands of people have lost their jobs and more will do so in the future. So if you're one of them, what do you need to know and how can you turn that experience into a reality? Or an opportunity, rather. And for more, I'm joined by life coach Lauren Gordon. Lauren, thank you very much for your time.
Morning, thanks for having me.
Lauren, let's start with the basics. You're a life coach. What exactly does that mean?
I think the best way to describe it is a sports coach helps with sports performance and a life coach will help you with your life performance. So I'll work with you to encourage you on achieving goals and keep you accountable and challenge you. And if you have any limiting beliefs that will prevent you from reaching these goals, we'll work through them and I'll empower you with techniques to help shift those limiting beliefs.
Okay. All right. So in this economic climate, have you noticed more people come to you? And if so, what kind of questions are they asking?
People are coming to me because they feel really lost, and they are at a loss because the life and the job they had, they don't have anymore. The future dreams and plans they had have changed. So everybody kind of feels stuck and out of control and just needs some kind of focus on a new direction. And their mindset needs to be made to feel more positive.
Okay, so let's focus on redundancy or job loss. If someone comes to you and says, hey, I've lost my job, I need some direction, what do you say, especially in this environment?
My first thing I say is don't take it personally. I know that's easier said than done, but COVID has impacted companies that they've had to be ruthless in staff cutting. Don't take it personally, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Really talk to those close to you or professional people about how you're feeling. And then once you've worked through those feelings, I think it's really important to do what I call a career audit. Go through all the jobs you've had from the beginning. What were you good at, what you loved, what you excelled in, what you were awarded in, and get a nice chunky list of achievements and strengths and skills that you can then work with a professional career coach to transfer to other industries and open up a whole lot of other avenues and roles that you might not never have thought of.
Lauren, finding work right now is pretty tough. So we'll talk about how to stay confident in a few seconds. But how does someone find the positives of losing a job, and what kinds of opportunities does this represent?
I think the positives and the opportunities are, it will give you a chance to remind yourself of what you were good at. If you've been doing a job or been in a certain industry for many years, you lose sense of all the great achievements you've had throughout and what you're good at. So this will give you an opportunity to redefine and redesign your career path, remind yourself of what you're good at, and maybe look at things you love doing that you didn't, explore before. It can open up a whole host of opportunities for you.
Now, Lauren, you're really well placed to talk about this because you've had your own personal journey, especially when it comes to being out of work. So what can you share? How did you deal with it, and how did you grow?
Okay, so for me, I had a long career in the ad industry and was doing life coaching on the side. Obviously, the ad world was heavily impacted and I got made redundant, but it amazingly allowed me to focus on my absolute passion and my purpose, which is my coaching. And I now have done my own career audit, and I've got a whole host of other strengths that I am looking for to use in a part-time way and just kind of expand myself in lots of different ways. But it's allowed me to focus on my coaching and help others to overcome the problems that I've had.
Right. Finding work right now, though, is tough.
Yes.
So how does one stay confident and optimistic, especially in this environment?
Things are tough. There are definitely industries and companies that are hiring. I would suggest working with a coach or talking to those around you, or if your mindset and your mental health have been heavily impacted, talking to people like Lifeline, or just reaching out for the support of everyone around you. There is work. It might take longer, but don't lose hope, because we're all going through the same thing, but things are picking up slowly, and industries are hiring. It's just about finding them and tailoring your skills accordingly.
Got that number for Lifeline on the screen, 131114, if you need to use it. But what other support is out there, Lauren?
Okay, so if you couldn't afford working with a coach, there's an incredible organization called Project Displaced that actually was set up within days of COVID to help displaced airline, entertainment, and hospitality industry people do a career audit, you update, just loads of support in career. It's a pop-up career guidance organization, and that is free. I'm actually doing mindset work and mental health first aid work with a whole host of other HR professionals that are volunteering, which will do career coaching, interview technique, you name it. Go onto the website. There's an amazing set of services all for free, and you can book as many as you need, and it's an incredible organization, and I feel privileged to be part of it.
And that website is projectdisplaced.simplybook.me. Hey, Lauren Gordon, really appreciate your time on Your Health and Your Wealth. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Lauren. And you can follow Lauren on Instagram at LozG, and that's spelt LOZGEE. Thanks again, Lauren. Lauren Gordon there. Now, she was mentioning the airline industry, which is a good link, because last week, the new owners of Virgin Australia confirmed they'll honour all previous frequent flyer points. But with fewer flights across all commercial airlines, especially internationally, and including Qantas, is it worth collecting frequent flyer points? Well, for that, I'm joined by the points whisperer from iflyflat.com.au, Steve Huey. Steve, is it worth being a member of a frequent flyer program right now?
It definitely is worth it, because even though you can't fly now or your flying choices are limited, this is the best time to collect your points, because you know that flying will come back. So it's like getting your ducks in a row. So right now, you're still spending money. So collect your points, go shop at supermarkets, spend on your credit card, get all those points, and then save them for your dream trip when the opportunity comes back.
What can you actually do with frequent flyer points right now, though?
Yeah, right now, I say there's two things. One is you have a bucket where you save for future flight. So in the future, if you want to go to Europe or New Zealand or whatever like that, have a look and see how many frequent flying spots you need for that trip, and then save for that target. But if you've got more points than you need, then things you can do right now, you can actually buy wine. You know, everyone's drinking a lot more right now. You can actually buy wine with Qantas points. So that's something immediately that will make you put a smile on your dial. Or you can book hotels. So even though there might be some border restrictions right now, you can book like a staycation in your local state, in your own state, and just get at home, because you're stuck at home for a while.
How do you decide if it's worth spending those points now or using them in the future?
I will always say use them in the future, because travel, especially if you can fly business class in the future, that's going to make your whole trip so much more memorable. And in terms, when you think about the actual financial decision, using points to fly business class, you're getting like nearly 6 times more value in cents per point, about 3 cents per every single point. So imagine if you had 100,000 points, each point's worth 3 cents. If you fly international, that's about $3,000 worth. But if you only use them to fly to, say, for hotels, you only get about half a cent per point in value. So the vast difference in value is huge.
Here's the interesting thing though, right? Even before COVID, I think it was Qantas that changed their point structure. So it was going to become more expensive to cash in your points for frequent flyer fares, right? But given the state of aviation now, do you think it'll cost even more points to collect frequent flyer airfares?
I think initially, no. Initially, the airlines are not going to be mucking around with the frequent flyer programs, because these frequent flyer programs are cash cows. So you would have, there's an article about the Qantas frequent flyer program at the moment that's still making bucket loads of money because people are still accruing the points. So I know the airlines are not going to muck around with the frequent flyer scheme right now, because this is their golden goose at the moment. But also in the short term, they're going to have putting flights, and they're going to have capacity. So they don't want to charge more to fly on points. But I believe in the future, maybe 3 years later, they will be increasing the points to fly. And that happens naturally anyway.
So if people still want to collect points right now, what's the most effective way to do it?
Credit cards has always been the most effective way, because credit cards means that you're buying something you're buying anyway. So whether you're shopping for groceries, or you're buying something for your house, or house improvements being very common lately, you put it on your credit card, and if you have a point earning credit card, you earn points on it. So you're basically earning these points for no additional effort, and these points add up pretty quickly. In some cases, you can double dip, and for example, if you go to BP, you can earn Qantas points on top of that. So double dipping is also very handy, because once again, you're not paying for these points, you're just getting them for free.
Credit cards are interesting though, because obviously there are negatives because you've got to pay fees. And then on top of that, there's the new type of credit. Well, it's not really credit, but your buy now, pay laters, right? So what are the main things people need to know about collecting points, things like expiry and costs?
Yep. So the number one is annual fees. When people think about credit cards, I think they're annual fees. That's largely offset by depending how much money you put through your card. So if you're putting, say maybe if you happen to be running a business, for example, and you're putting through like over $10,000 a month of expenses on your credit card, then it really doesn't matter what annual fee you pay. You're going to get more value from your points than the fee that you'll pay. But if you're a personal person and you're paying maybe a high annual fee, which is probably about $500 per month, not per month, that's crazy, per year, then you can think about having ideally you want to stay with the same bank, because changing credit cards can be a hassle. So stay with the same bank and ask them whether they have a cheaper card for you, because you're spending less money. In terms of costs, when you're using points to fly, you're only paying for taxes, which means that you can actually easily fly business class for under $2,000, because you're literally just paying taxes, and taxes are actually getting cheaper at the moment. So fuel taxes, how fuel's so cheap now, a lot of airlines have actually started reducing their what they call carrier charges, which means it's cheaper to fly when we can.
It's so nice talking about these types of things, even though we can't fly right now. It gives us a bit of hope that we'll able to be flying very, very soon. But Steve, before I let you go, I'm putting my business journalist hat on right now. You're a small business owner advising people on how to maximize their frequent flyer points, right? So to what extent has your small business been impacted by the pandemic?
Yeah, so we've had two sides of the business. One side is our team books frequent flyer flights, international business and first class. In a way, that's been completely shut down because of the international travel ban we have, that no one can fly out, and then there's been no flights. So that part of the business is down, and obviously we are lucky enough to get JobKeeper and have a lot of really grateful that the Australian government has been able to keep funding a lot of businesses through JobKeeper. But another part of our business that we pivoted to quite quickly was cancellations. Because we were cancelling a lot of our bookings that we did for others. We understood how complex and difficult it was to do cancellations. So we started quickly offering a service to help people cancel. And one of the success stories is like we got a customer $20,000 refund back when initially there was no chance that they were going to get anything. So it's about being persistent, and it's about knowing what steps you need to take to get that refund back to you, back to your pocket. So very happy with that.
That's great. Maybe if you can leave us with a bit of a tip, because that's actually quite an interesting point. And I know by giving the tip, you're giving part of your business away. But when it comes to cancellations, obviously a lot of people need to cancel their holidays right now if they were going to take European holiday, for example. what are generally their rights when it comes to getting a refund or a credit, for example?
Yeah, the key thing to watch out for is you want the airline to cancel your flight. You don't want to cancel your flight. So, for example, you're booked on a flight on a certain date, and you go, oh, I'm not going to go anymore. So you're ready to cancel, but that flight is still running. You got to wait until the airline cancels that flight, because if you cancel it, that's a voluntary cancellation. That means you have to accept whatever terms they give you. But if the airline cancels your flight, then they have not delivered what you paid for, which means that then you're entitled to a refund, as in a cash refund, because you paid for something, but the airline has not delivered. Hence, they have not done that part of the deal. But if you cancel yourself, then you've decided you don't want to fly, and that's the difference. So there's two parts to play that game, and sometimes you might have to wait until the week before you're about to fly to find out that your flight's been cancelled. So I guess that's through the experience that we have, how to work the system. Not really working the system, you just know what to do.
Great advice. Do you know what's really disheartening at the moment is still getting those diary alerts saying you're meant to be boarding a flight right now to go overseas.
Yeah, but I guess another part I just forgot to mention is that we still have a business that helps people with the points advice, telling people what cards they should get, like through their business. So therefore, taking the time right now to really grow the points while you can't fly, and when you can fly, you should be flying business class, because who wants to fly economy in the future?
Who wants to be flying economy? Exactly right, especially with these health issues. All right, Steve, really appreciate your time on Health and Your Wealth. You can follow Steve on Instagram at iflyflat. So that's the letter I, fly flat. Thank you, Steve.
Cool, thank you, bye-bye.
Steve Huey there from iflyflat. Now, that's it for this program. Don't forget, the information on this stream is general in nature, and you should contact a licensed financial professional before making any investment decision to make sure your decision is right for you. And this is the final episode of Your Health and Your Wealth for Season 1. Thank you very much to all of my 20 guests over the past 10 weeks. Technically, there were 21. Make sure you follow me across all social media with the tag at Business Ricardo. So that's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Periscope, and even Instagram. I'll be posting some highlights of my 20 interviews over the next, say, 3-4 weeks. And you can also get some details on when Season 2 of Your Health and Your Wealth will return right here across your social media platforms. Don't forget, you can watch all of these on demand in your time on my Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Periscope, and YouTube accounts. And you can listen to these as a podcast on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. I'm Ricardo Gonçalves. I'll see you next time.